Demo, not for broadcast. Property of WABC New York.
If you're thinking about changing schools, why wait? At Manhattan University, love those guys. You don't have to start over. With transfer-friendly pathways, your credits count, and you keep moving forward. From day one, you're part of Jasper Nation, preparing for the real world. And with New York City just a train away, opportunity is everywhere. Ready to move forward without missing a step? Visit manhattan.edu/transfer and enroll today. Manhattan University. Don't start over. Move forward.
The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Dick Morris and Doug DePiro Show.
Hello, Dick Morris.
Sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
Hello, Dick Morris. How are you today?
I'm doing great. You know, it is incredible to watch Donald Trump take America's enemies one after the other and destabilize them, destroy them, and ultimately marginalized.
Who now?
Iran is next. The last one was, of course, Venezuela.
Yeah.
And his strategy is always the same. It's to promote the idea of freedom, promote the idea of democracy, and when it takes root with people and they begin to feel it strongly and they demonstrate, then move in with the threat of U.S. force to neutralize the regime's suppressive attempts.
Well, listen, he gave Maduro every chance to get out. I don't know about gracefully, but gracefully, you know,
right. Well,
carefully.
Not feet first. But it is amazing how he has gone country by country and taken apart the enemies of the United States. Taking apart Venezuela like he did. And now he's working.
And now putting it back together.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, taken apart, but he knows how to get it back together.
And now it's Iran. As the Iranian Republican forces lose control of the streets at several Iranian cities, as protesters increasingly clash with them, Tehran officials, the capital of Iran, are reportedly seeking refuge outside of the country.
That's funny.
And in the country, by the way.
Well, they're thirsty.
In the country, by the way, there's no water. The rainfall is way below average. There's a 5-year drought in Tehran.
You think God got involved with this whole thing?
Yeah, and they have to now import water. And they also say that the Tehran, the city, may have to be evacuated, 10 million people.
For that reason?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then on top of that, the rial, the Iranian currency, has crashed.
That's the currency, the rial.
It's like 42,000 to 1.
Wow.
To the
How
dollar.
could that be? So that's nothing.
Yeah, bring a wheelbarrow with you. And it's just incredible to look at what's going on. On Thursday, the 12th day of the protest, the Tehran regime cut internet access to all Iranians to stop them from going to demonstrations. The move could have been timed to coincide with a phone call made at Washington by Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi.
Reza Pahlavi.
The son of the former Shah.
Oh, yeah.
He pleaded with Iranians to pour into the streets, shout from rooftops and windows, and otherwise raise their voices at 8 p.m. Tehran time on Thursday and Friday.
But like you said, it looks like they cut off internet right around that time, right?
They didn't cut off shouting. Pahlavi's plea and the Iranian response to it could prove a test of his status in a growing protest movement that so far lacks leadership. The son of the Shah, who left Iran on the eve of Khomeini's return in 1979, is scheduled to attend a breakfast prayer at Trump's Mar-a-Lago next Tuesday. Dozens of people were reported killed on Thursday. Trump, who previously warned the regime against shooting at protesters, said that he wasn't sure who was responsible for the deaths, but added that the Iranian regime has been told very strongly, even more strongly than I'm speaking to you right now, that if they don't do that, they're going to have hell to pay. The regime has no answers, a Jerusalem-based broadcaster said. It can't address economic problems, its own incompetence, its corruption. Right now they hesitate to go full force against the protesters, but after 12 days this uprising is only escalating. They might have no choice but mass killings, and that could trigger American and Israeli action.
What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think Israel's going to have to act. And I think the U.S. could act. They could take out the Iranian leadership. Don't forget that during the war, when we were bombing Iran, Israel kept saying we could kill the Ayatollah. We have the Ayatollah in our sights. We know where he is. And we push a button and he's dead. And Trump warned them against doing that, saying if you do that, you'll destabilize the situation. And he's being forced out anyway.
You know, I watched, I forget it was a senator, congressman. He was in with the Ayatollah, whatever the guy's called, the mullah, and with Trump. And Trump says, listen, you hurt one of our guys, one hair on one American, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
He takes a photograph out of his pocket. This is a true story. Takes a photograph out of his pocket and he gives it to the guy, this mullah. And he goes, where'd you get this? How'd you get it? It must have been like a photo of him.
Was it a mullah effer?
He must have been like something like in his house eating dinner. I don't know that. He goes, where'd you get this? What is this? How'd you get this? He goes, you hurt one, he said, you hurt one hair on American. I'm going to kill you. He took the picture out. He put it in the guy's hand and he got up and walked out. Not another word. The guy goes, where'd you get this? And he just walked out.
Unbelievable.
Could you imagine
Unbelievable.
how cool that must have been? It's the same guy I think we're talking about.
Yeah. So, if you want to hasten the fall of the regime with the least price to pay, you would target command centers, he said, in Iran's 31 districts, cut all communications between them. And then the broadcaster told regime enforcers to join the protest. He said, if Khomeini escaped, do you think he'd take you with him?
Right. Because he keeps saying that, how do you say this guy's name? Khomeini? I don't even know. I don't care.
Khomeini.
I don't care.
You don't have to learn it. It's going to be gone soon.
Yeah, and I'm not going to do the topic either.
Yeah.
He's saying, oh, my people are going to rise up against you if you come here. I don't know about that.
Who said that?
Didn't this guy, later on in this, he goes, my military it's not going to be like Venezuela.
No, that's Colombia. You're quoting Petro.
Oh, Petro.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, in Iran, we have tremendous support from the people.
Right, that was Colombia. You're right.
And the U.S., during the bombing of the nuclear plants, made clear to Israel that at one push of a button, they'd kill all of these folks. Right. And they didn't want to do it for all kinds of different reasons. Partially, it's illegal in the United States law to target a foreign leader and kill him. Assassination of foreign leaders is a crime in America. But the whole idea that you can really topple Iran, and if Iran goes, the whole structure of terrorism falls apart. It has these groups it sponsors, affiliated groups, the Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Red Sea, Hamas, and all of these entities dissolve. And you talk about the war on terror. The United States wins it when the Iranian regime is toppled. And the fact that we're able to do it and that it's in our sights, I think is crucial. You got to hand it to this president. Whatever you think of him, he has taken our enemies one at a time and destroyed them.
And the left is saying, oh, this guy is a warmonger. He's crazy. He's doing all this stuff. Right. It's going to make us safer. It's going to make the whole world safer.
Yeah, the whole world safer.
And he's the crazy one.
Exactly. Now, and by the way, speaking of his enemies, Waltz announced he's not running for re-election.
Yeah, Tampon Tim.
Yeah, and now he's going to be running for his life because he's going to be indicted probably.
That was good, Dick.
And he's got other things to worry about than possibly becoming vice president.
That's like my friend. I said, hey, Hillary's running. And he goes, for what? The Kentucky Derby?
Well, the best line was that I was at the foreign correspondence dinner or during the administration when I worked for Clinton. And a comedian got up there and said that, I forget who it was, the guy who lives in the desert in Arizona.
Yeah.
And he went on and he said, Bill Clinton wants 4 more years. Hillary's looking at 2 to 5.
That's good. I think I saw that. That's funny.
So the
Kennedy, we're talking about Kennedy cutting back on the vaccines recommendations for kids.
Well, we have that. Yeah, let's get to that later.
Okay.
I'm the one saying on foreign policy, the
Colombia, Petro.
Which is, of course, right next to Venezuela.
Right.
And Venezuela has been run by the communists for about 40 years now. Mm-hmm. And Colombia voted for a communist in an election about 3 years ago.
This guy, Petro.
Yeah.
We were on that campaign, were we, with the other guy?
Yeah, we worked against him.
Uh-huh.
And it was such a weird thing. The candidate...
Was that our candidate that went to Miami? He was scared? Oh, yeah. We fly down to...
Well,
I think we flew 10 hours, though. Like, we flew to Argentina or somewhere.
But first, the background. The previous candidate for president against the communists... Was assassinated.
Right.
So...
Now,
our candidate who wins
I think Fernandez, is that what
Hernandez,
that is?
Yeah.
Hernandez, right.
And he makes the runoff in a big surprise. Nobody thought he could. And then... So
let me jump in. So now, Dick Morris gets the call. We want to win, okay? Get Dick Morris, right? So... We meet him. Did we meet him one time before his people? No. We met his people, his son. But then the next time he goes, okay, I want to meet Dick Morris. We're going to meet. So we fly down. It wasn't Colombia. We flew all the way down. I forget where. It was a long flight. And we get there, and Angel, our guy, he was a cool guy. He goes, oh, he's not, what do you mean he's not here? Oh, no, he got worried. He's in Miami. We just flew from Del Rey to here.
He was worried about getting shot. Because his predecessor was shot.
And don't run for president.
And he basically said, I'm not coming to Colombia again.
But you want to be president?
Be president of Colombia, but I'm going to run from Florida.
From Miami.
And he issued Fort Lauderdale, I think.
Yeah, whatever.
And he issued all kinds of statements from that. And Petro defeated him because he was the only one willing to be there, in the election. And Petro turns out to be an absolute crazy imitation of Maduro. Trying very much to win the Maduro Award. His name is Gustavo Petro, and he warned Donald Trump on Monday that Colombians will defend against him as an invader.
Right.
Responding to Trump's rhetoric, he added, he's not illegitimate or a narco. And it is true, he won the election because Hernandez, his opponent, was a very old, rich guy. And he decided, what do I need this for? And he basically dropped out of the race. In a lengthy statement posted to X, Petro portrayed himself as the constitutional supreme commander of Colombia's military and police and accused U.S. officials, particularly Rubio, of being fed false information by Colombian political interests he claimed are tied to the mafia.
Yeah, because they're so honest.
Petro said he ordered the removal of intelligence colonels for allegedly providing bogus claims against the state and urged Rubio not to believe fallacies. The rhetoric escalated enormously after Trump seized Maduro and basically sent a message to Petro saying,
I'm coming at your ass.
You're next.
Something like that, right.
The thing is that Petro is term limited, and that's about the only law he's obeying. And his term is up, I think, in May.
Of this year?
Of this year. Ooh. So we're going to be working for his opponent. He can't run again. But he's putting up other people.
Right.
And we've met with a few of them, and we'll have a client probably in the next 2 weeks.
And the boss likes that we're going down to South America a lot and Central America. He's loving it.
Yeah.
He's absolutely
we've
loving
developed a sort of informal relationship with him where we really work at helping him get rid of these regimes.
But you know what I noticed about him more than ever? You know, we talk to, well, Dick does. It's a three-way, but Dick is talking to him. For years, you know, he would take Dick's advice and just go, yeah, all right, Dick, I'll think about it. And that's kind of how he said it. You know, I'll think about it, Dick. He's very nice, but he's to the point. He's a New Yorker, right? After a couple of things that I won't get into, after a couple of South American things, and Dick came through with a couple of really big deals, he talks to you differently. All right, Dick, what do you think? Okay, maybe. Yeah. He never talked like that. He was always like, okay, Dick, we'll see what we're going to do. Yeah. Now he's like, hey, Dick, what do you think about this?
And the
thing?
issue now is, will Trump be able to get rid of Lula in Brazil,
right,
who's 80 years old?
Right.
And he's been this guy has run for president like 5 times and lost 4. And he won the last time or last 2 times.
I can't keep track.
And now the issue, and Bolsonaro was his opponent, who he got ousted. But basically then when Bolsonaro said the election was stolen, he
weren't we supposed to be
Bolsonaro
on that years ago?
Yeah, we were.
I kind of remember. I can't remember anyway. There's like 100 different.
No, we were. We worked with Bolsonaro.
Yeah.
The problem at that point was that foreign consultants were illegal.
Right.
So we had to meet with him in
Miami or
no, mainly in Buenos Aires.
Right.
Because we couldn't come into the country.
Or sometimes Panama for other people. Sure.
Yeah.
That's all right.
But gradually, one after the other, Trump is going throughout Latin America and getting rid of these communist regimes. He's already flipped Bolivia. He's in the process of flipping Chile. The election is in the next week or two. He flipped Honduras, and he's now working on flipping Colombia, Peru, and Brazil.
You know, I just wish, and I have to say it, I know you're going to say you shouldn't have said that, but too bad. We worked on the guy running for the OAS, Ruben Ramirez from Paraguay, and Trump wasn't interested back then. He's like, I don't care about this, and now he's interested. I wish.
Talking about it, he said, "What's the OAS?"
Yeah. But he had somebody to say, I don't want to get too into this because I know he listens to us, so I don't want to piss him off. But now he's probably saying, all right, Dick, what do you got? Because, you know, we pushed him for 3, 4, 5 times, pushed him until he finally said, I don't care about the, now he cares. So I'm thinking the same thing about Africa. I think he's got, I know you don't want to get into that, but I'm saying that China is going to move in with Africa and their dollar or the yuan or whatever they do, and Russia with the ruble. If we don't get there soon, they're going to take us out. China, not take us out, you know what I mean? They're going to take over the dollar
Trump is relaxed about that because he knows that he can.
With his tariffs.
Yeah, well, he can tell China that
no one else is going to.
Yeah, no oil is going to come into the U.S. because the U.S. will not use the BRICS currency.
And do secondary sanctions, sure. But I still don't agree with that. He's definitely going to do it, and that will be good. But I think he needs, it doesn't matter. He needs to get to Africa also. We're going to push him.
But it's amazing now. Trump is taking America's enemies one after the other and getting rid of them. And he's fashioning a world in which there is no terrorism because Iran is closed down. The Gaza Strip is closed and for repairs. and essentially, the freedom prevails.
You know, it comes across, he's a businessman and he's a tough guy. That's all. You know, when I first met him and years ago, I never thought, he's not a tough guy. He's just a New Yorker. He's a tough son of a gun, boy. This guy, he ain't no rich guy that's just, you know, has some power because he's got money. He's a tough mother, you know, and that's how he comes across.
A tough mullah effer.
I learned a half a word today in school. Mother. No, but seriously, he's a tough guy from New York, but a businessman. We have to take a break. So on the way back, we'll talk about something else being tough.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DePiro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. While there are riots going on in Iran, and Iran is teetering on the brink, and I think is going to fall in the next week.
Really? In a week?
Maybe a few days, yeah.
Love it.
Because these things don't stop, and it's now every city in Iran is in an uproar.
Like it's got momentum, you're saying, type of thing? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Piper Sandler, the investment bank, said that our domestic economy in the U.S. is going to soar and is soaring because of the effects of the big, beautiful bill. Mm-hmm. A tax-cutting law enacted in July will soon be felt. Americans will receive refunds that reflect retroactive tax cuts on income from 2025. They'll also find that levies on monthly earnings have fallen. According to Piper Sandler, an investment bank, these 2 years of tax cuts in one are worth about $191 million. Such tax cutting should be enough to boost the GDP by 0.5% just by themselves. So it's a the Democrats did this to try to delay the impact of the Trump tax cut, and so that they
you mean
really,
the positive impact of the right? They would delay it. Isn't that nice?
But they ended up outsmarting themselves because
the Democrats,
because they tried to delay the change of the withholding tables, and now that they succeeded in that, and the money was not withheld, it's going to come due in 2025 and 26, and the people are going to get big refunds based on their 25 taxes. So you have 25 and 26 effectively in 1 year.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then on top of that,
it's like money in the bank. It's also, they're like the Keystone Cops, these Democrats.
And it also, at the same time, while we're doing that, the economy has just exploded. The official estimate is a 3.4% growth in the last quarter.
No, I thought the official estimate was a lot less than that.
Well, it was that. It was 2 point something.
Yeah, and now
then they upped to 3.4.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Then the Fed announces that it has a preliminary indication that the growth rate will exceed 4%.
That's unbelievable.
Which is unreal.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that is incredible.
So quickly, too.
Yeah.
This guy's in office 1 year.
So it is amazing.
Wow.
That this could happen. And it really is going to change the whole economic environment.
And the midterms.
We're just in time for the midterms.
The liberals are going to stick on this shooting in Minnesota, and they're going to work that as much as, because they have nothing else.
Yeah.
So they're just going to go with Trump, war, military in the streets of the
but his refusal to send American troops anywhere, and his achieving all of this without intervention. It's so incredible.
And
it's so amazing.
That whole war president thing.
That's right.
Right. But they'll do that. The thing I keep saying to you, and I don't know how we're going to do it, is get our message out to the liberals. Like, look at this. Look what's happening. You got money in the pocket. You don't even realize it. And you're being indoctrinated by all of these people, to think a certain way.
Yeah, but with the economic stats, what they're close to being,
it's going to
nobody's going to be able to hide.
It's going to stand on its own.
The whole idea that the country is prosperous, their fallback position will be affordability. That it's only the rich are benefiting.
Yeah, sure.
But then when he does tax cuts that hit everybody, and he refunds $2,000 on the tariff, which I think he's still going to do. The Democrats have nothing to stand on.
All my life as an artist, musician, that's what I did all my life. I made great money, and then I made nothing. I made great money. I never worked for a poor guy. I worked for our great friend Barbara Winston, right? That's how I met Dick Morris, through Barbara. But I always tell people, so many people say, oh, the rich. Like, listen, I go, you would never work for a poor guy. You got to work for a guy with some money.
Yeah. So, well, the change that's going on.
I want rich people to get richer.
The change that's going on in the American economy is unbelievable. It's Bill Clinton on steroids. And it's hard to believe that this is all going to come together.
Amazing.
And then backing it all up is this investment in the U.S. that we just talked about with Piper Sandler. The idea that these companies are looking at the tariff and they're saying, oh my God, if I make my product abroad, I'm going to get a tariff to send it into the U.S. So I don't want that. So I'm going to transfer my manufacturing, my industry, my headquarters, everything to the United States so that it becomes domestic rather than foreign. And you see that happening all over, and it is really incredible.
Wow, it's amazing. Listen, why don't we do On the Rocks right now?
Okay.
We got Roxana on the phone, and I think she's got something a little for you there, Dick. And by the way, she's got a little sore throat, so don't worry about it. She's okay.
Hey, Rock.
Hey, back in Florida.
How's the weather?
Oh, beautiful. 74 degrees.
You go out in the sun, you'll clean your throat out with the sun.
Yeah. I'd like to begin a little different. My quote today is, the best way to predict your future is to create it. Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
As I was thinking of my topics today, you, Dick Morris, came to mind. With your strategy bringing Clinton, Democrats, and Republicans to work together, calling it triangulation.
Yep.
And so here we are.
Yeah. That's right.
The world's three superpowers create a triangle as well: the United States, China, and Russia. I'm not omitting the Middle East, but it's a different dynamic of power, which I'll speak of in a moment. The world is experiencing rapid and fundamental changes across all continents. Threats of communism and Islamization has risen. That's a new word, Islamization, to major proportions. With Trump's recent dismantling of Venezuela and his endorsement of candidate conservative Azri Asufru Tito winning presidency in Honduras, South America is in our range to stop communism's spread and control. But that transports my thoughts to Africa, a nation made up of 54 diverse sovereign states. As Russia and China go in with offers ultimately to not just control of minerals, but to Africa, ultimately money will talk. Can we afford another continent to be controlled by either of these regimes? Or does the United States need to employ the most powerful and effective measures to manage risk? Yes, President Trump is doing a miraculous reversal in South America's direction. However, there's no time to ignore that others can easily fall into communist control. If this momentum is ours, we must not hesitate. Which brings me to Islamization, which has grown by 347 million in just 10 years. They're looking to dominate the world. Although Islam and communism differ fundamentally, their ethical goals do overlap. An ideology where their core purpose is seeking a classless society, thus socialist communism. It's a terminology we know too well now. Through revolution and Sharia law, the Islam population is growing significantly through high birth rates and gaining higher status in Africa and throughout all of Europe, as we know. The French and Arab powers aim to Islamize and Arabize Europe, weakening its existing culture and undermining previous alliances with the United States and Israel. This is not just a theory. It's happening in real time in Europe, and to be honest, in some cities in our own country. It leads me back to you, Dick Morris. Triangulation. To work together with our differences. Is the world so changed? Or is the cries heard from the people worldwide for peace, for freedom of suffering, so loud that their voice will become a powerful force of collective action? I wonder. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. That was written or quoted almost 200 years ago by our President John Quincy Adams. And I'd like to close this in gratitude to our President Donald Trump, who I feel 200 years later is the epitome of this quote written. Amen, and thank you.
Thank you,
Roxanne.
That was good.
You know, they speak of the Down Row Doctrine.
Like the Monroe Doctrine, but now they're calling it the Don Row.
They call it the Monroe Doctrine, but the guy that put it together was John Quincy Adams.
Yeah, right.
He was the Secretary of State to Monroe.
Should have been the Jack Row.
Yeah, right.
John's Jack.
But thank you for that reminder of the triangulation, Dick, because you came right to mind, thinking of the world powers right now, you know, forming that triangle. I mean, of course, Iran and all of this other is important, but it's going to be the decisions of those three major powers that's going to affect the world.
You know, Dick comes up with pretty good stuff once in a while. I told him the other day, I go, you could almost make a living at this, Dick. Seriously, we were in a meeting the other day. And, you know, by looking at the guy, you go, hey, how smart could he be, right? But looking at him, right? We were in a meeting the other day. It was unbelievable. It was really intricate. It was about a lot of different stuff, Guatemala and blah, 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 a whole bunch of stuff that soon we're going to hear about a lot, hopefully very soon. And Dick sat back, and it looked like he wasn't getting any of it, and all of a sudden he did a dissertation. He came right out with a speech of what the guy was talking about for an hour and a half.
What it really was prepping for my meeting with Trump.
Well, I always said this, and I say
I'm
this.
Rehearsing. Yeah.
I always say, right. I always say this. When we have a meeting, Dick will say, so what you're saying, if we have a railroad and we'll go here and then we take the chip and this will happen over there, that's very interesting because that would, and I always tell our clients or the perspectives, I go, he's rehearsing his pitch to the president or to a TV ad or to something. And it's really cool. Like I saw that years ago with you. And I always tell the client when they come in that that's what you're going to do. But it is kind of amazing. I told a story when we were at Mar-a-Lago at a meeting with Trump. It was great. And he was talking about, Jefferson and the other Madison, thing, right? Yeah. Madison, right. And, after like a minute or two, when Dick started to explain to the president what he thought he should do or where he should go with something, the president just stopped him after like a minute or 2 minutes into this. He goes, stop, Dick, stop. And he called Susie Wiles and he called the girl, the woman to type it, to do the minutes. And she came in and he goes, all right, Dick, say exactly what you were just saying to me. Just, tell them so she could, write it out. And he turned around. He wasn't ready to do this. We had talking points, bullet points. One thing say this, one thing say that. He turned around and he did a speech. It was 8 minutes. It was 5 to 8 minutes. It was a long speech. It wasn't one of them. And from beginning to the end, and I'm not kidding. I can't curse on the air, but we all said, Susie, the president, and me, I said holy F. He said holy S-H. And Susie too. And we all went, whoa, because it really was an impressive thing that this little guy over here just came out with this big, gigantic thing.
The context of this is interesting. After the 2020 election, Trump was making the case that the election was stolen, and he would base it on the reports of poll watchers in largely Atlanta and Philadelphia.
Sure.
And it was a very technical argument about signatures and verification and citizenship and all that stuff. And I said, that's not the argument you should make. It looks like you're quibbling with the last election. There's some who even would say you're destabilizing it. Go back to the big thing that Biden did. He did this laptop where he outlined all of the stuff he's done, all of the bribes he's taken, all of the issues ahead. And then Biden had the media dump on it and say this was irresponsible and
it was fake or
50
whatever.
Intelligence officers say this is Russian info, and it was totally untrue. And it turned out that Biden, quote, won the election, unquote. But everybody believes that had the truth of that laptop come out afterward during the election, Biden would never have beaten Trump.
Right.
And that's what you should hang it on. So this isn't really a matter of counting ballots. It's a matter of going back to the concepts of Jefferson and Madison and having actual popular sovereignty. And you need to do that in terms of the laptop. And I think that...
And that's where he stopped you. Stop right there. Susie, I think he did that because he wanted Susie to explain what you just said to him.
No.
No, I know.
He gets it.
Oh, he does. And he doesn't miss it. He doesn't miss a beat. He gets everything. He wants quick and easy. Hurry up. I heard enough. Thank you. Get out. But he knows everything, especially you. You give him stuff. He hears it. Anyway, we're going to take a break. And then we come back. We'll talk about more Dick Morris stuff.
We'll talk about a project in California, of all places, where they have given $91 million to criminals to help them make bail.
So they could kill again.
And then the criminals who had all been convicted of murder went back out and committed murder again.
There were at least 3 of them I have here.
Twofers. Yeah.
Oh, horrible. Okay, when we get back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DePiro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. So, talk about this bail project in California.
We try to have a little laughter once in a while. This is not funny at all. This is horrible. A non-profit organization dedicated to the social justice concept of abolishing the cash bail system has reportedly spent over $91 million to help post bond for criminals since its inception. The nonprofit has fallen under scrutiny due to some of the individuals they have bailed out. Based out of the upscale Los Angeles town of Venice, the Bail Project, which is called the Bail Project, claims to strive for more perfect justice system, with the core means of achieving said goal being the offering of bail assistance to indigent criminal defendants while simultaneously advocating for policies to take money out of the criminal justice. This makes no sense, right? This past December, as previously reported by Law Enforcement Today, another thing, Law Enforcement Today it's called, the Bail Project attracted an unsavory media spotlight after one of the criminal defendants that they helped bail out in Ohio was arrested for murder 5 days after he was able to post bond. That's the part that this gets me sick. But the case of a 25-year-old Donnie Allen, who stands accused of the fatal transit shooting in Cleveland, isn't the only notable instance where the Bail Project secured the release of someone who would go on to allegedly commit a murder. Since 2020, the Bail Project has helped release 3 criminal defendants who go on to be convicted of murder while enjoying the freedom of their secured by the nonprofit and getting out on bail. Back in December of 2020, Travis Lang was arrested in Indiana on charges of cocaine possession, breaking and entering, resisting arrest, burglary. Comes to the following January, the Bail Project fronted almost $6,000 to get Lang released on bond. In October of 21, after he skipped out on his scheduled court appearance, he was involved in a drug deal where he non-fatally shot a woman seeking her drugs and then killed the uninvolved passenger in the vehicle, 24-year-old Dylan McGinnis. Lang was sentenced to 96 years. He should have been in jail, first of all. Was sentenced to 96 years in prison back in September of 23 for the fatal shooting of McGinnis. And the victim's family filed a wrongful death suit against the Bail Project. See, excuse me, I would like to follow up on that case and see how they do. Right. With that court case, suing.
That's another example.
And then in April of 2019, Samuel Lee Scott was arrested in Missouri following a domestic violence incident involving his wife, 54-year-old Marcia Johnson, where he reportedly struck her in the face and threatened to finish what he started. Days after his arrest, the Bail Project, of course, fronted $5,000 for Scott to be bailed out on April 9th. Mere hours after his release, a friend of Johnson found her unconscious, this is the wife, found her unconscious and covered in blood, having suffered several broken, having suffered several broken ribs, a broken eye socket, and numerous contusions. Johnson sadly succumbed to her injuries shortly after being in hospital. Scott was convicted of Johnson's murder in April of 22, with local coverage of his conviction highlighting how the Bail Project defended their actions because the order of protection Johnson secured against Scott following his arrest wasn't issued till after the bail was posted. And that's the organization did not know about the order. Yeah, whatever. Don't play stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this
is horrible. This
is Murder, Inc. only. State-sponsored.
And they should be sued, and I'd love to see them go down all the way, be sued so much that, they're homeless. This hurts, something like this. This is horrible.
Incredible.
Now, we're going to talk about congestion.
Yeah, the Hochul and Jokel got a congestion toll imposed on motorists.
Right, would they use NyQuil?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
With the nightmare.
And for Mandami nightmare.
Nightmare, yeah. I should call him NyQuil. Anyway,
But now it's succeeding because it's bringing in a lot of money, and it's reducing congestion.
I got to tell you, I liked it 20 years ago when somebody said they were going to do that, the tolls on the Hudson Bridge and whatever bridge is coming in from Westchester. And I thought it was a good idea because it was getting crazy. And I'm not totally against it right now even. I know you are, and I'm kind of in the middle of how I feel about it, but I don't mind cutting down on all the cars and whatnot, although what we're about to say says that it doesn't. Let's read it and then we'll go from there. It went into effect, Governor Jokel and Nightmare Mendami and MTA Chairman Jono Ohano, Janno, Jono Lieber, Monday released numbers. They argue points to the success of the program, which charges drivers a base toll of $9 to enter Midtown and Lower Manhattan. According to the state data, vehicle traffic in the congestion zone is down 11% compared with last year, with 27 million fewer vehicles traveling the streets. Wow. An average of 73,000 fewer per day. That's a lot, right? The results are extraordinary beyond what we could have expected, Hochul said. People with asthma are breathing, this is kind of stupid. People with asthma are breathing better, Hochul said, and our streets are safer.
The problem is that nobody can afford it. The toll was originally set at a $15 base rate. Hochul made an $11 decision to phase that in. And the toll started at $9 base rate,
right,
covering all of Manhattan south of 60th Street. Initial projections by the state estimated would bring in some $500 million a year in gross revenue, and so far it's brought in $550 million a year. The important thing about, and the toll is going to go up to $12 in 28 and $15 in 31.
Right.
But of course, the toll is an excuse. The real purpose of the toll is to generate revenue for projects in the transit authority,
right,
to repair track and to repair signaling and stuff like that. And when they tried to pass it, nobody voted for it and was defeated.
So the toll basically.
So what they've now done is they're calling it a congestion tax.
Right.
Because that way they can get the money for the tolls.
Right.
And,
kind of like bridge tolls and highway tolls on the Hutch or whatever.
Exactly.
It was supposed to help, maintain the bridges and the roads, and they never did.
That's right. And, so the issue now is, will the pretext continue to be the basis for it? And, it's pretty clear that this is not money that was set aside to do this.
You don't think it's going to work? You don't think this is going to slow people coming into the city?
I think it will. I think it has.
So good.
But it's also funding a big public works project by the city.
Right.
And the contractors are making money from it, and the unions are making money from it, and it's over.
So there's going to be a little gratuity going on, you think?
Yeah, there will be, but I think the other thing is that this is money that is basically being imposed as a tax just as an excuse.
Oh, I see where you're going.
It's a facade. The only reason they have this tax is to raise the money to pay the bonds to do.
So they're just not
repairs.
being truthful about what they're doing.
That's right.
All right.
By the way, this leads to a story, let me tell. You know, in New York, we have parkways, and in other jurisdictions, there are no parkways.
Right.
Expressways,
We're
highways.
We're talking about Moses right now? This is great.
So the reason we have parkways in New York, and we're the only state that has it, is that in 1920s, the commissioner of roads was named Bob Moses, a state official. And he said that automobiles are going to be the wave of the future, and we've got to have tolls.
He was wrong. You think it'll have a catch on?
And we've got to have bridges and tolls and roads to accommodate them. So he put a bond issue on the state ballot for bonds for roads, and was rejected overwhelmingly because the voters correctly said the only people that are going to drive are rich people, and the automobile is not going to catch on. It'll be a boutique thing.
Yeah, neither is the record player.
So then after he was beaten on that, Moses came back and he said, well, we need the money for these roads, but I'm not going to say it. We need the money for parks and recreation. and we need roads for people to get to
there.
the parks.
Ah, interesting.
So I'm going to call the roads I'm building parkways.
That's great.
And there is, at the end of the Sawmill River Parkway, there's the Sawmill River Park. At the end of the Hutch, there's a park. And the Maranac and all of those.
Yeah, right.
And that's why we're the only
Bronx
state.
River.
We're the only state with parkways.
That's so funny.
And there's a park at the end of the road.
Why do you park in a driveway and drive on a parkway?
Yeah, that's
I don't understand that.
Well, that's why.
That's
Because
Stephen Wright.
because we couldn't sell the idea of tolls
That's great.
for roads, but we could for parks.
He did pretty good with a beach too. Robert Moses Beach in Long Island, right?
He did.
Ah.
So now
He was pretty interesting, that guy.
so now the whole thing of these congestion
When
tax,
was he? What's the circa Moses?
20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. He ruled New York with an iron hand.
What was he? What was his position?
Officially, he was just the parks commissioner. But he then became head of the transit system in the state.
He was creative. He could design in his head because he knew what he wanted.
Well, he built all the bridges. He built the West Side Highway.
What bridges?
Verrazano.
Really?
Yeah. And
That was the longest bridge back then.
yeah.
You know,
he
now
built the
it's
Verrazano
close.
Bridge and then the Goethals Bridge and other stuff. But the interesting thing about him is how he fell. Because he was appointed by the governor and by the mayor as the parks commissioner of the state and of the city, he had tremendous political power, and he made the unions do what he wanted. At one point, there's a great story where there was a bridge he was building over what's now the Sawmill River Parkway.
Beautiful parkway.
And the residents went to court and said, stop. This is going to damage the environment. So the judge said, okay, I'm going to hear this Friday. I'm going to hear arguments on this on Monday.
This is great.
So, returnable Monday show cause why this should not be stopped.
No, build a certain bridge there.
Yeah, why they should not be allowed to build. I'm sorry.
It was a specific bridge.
Yeah, and the community opposed it. And it was a show cause order for why the community should not be able to stop this bridge. So Moses called a meeting in his office of every union leader.
Like Friday.
Yeah, on Friday.
Yeah.
Every union leader, every construction firm. And he said, I want this bridge finished by Monday morning. And they said, sir, it's Friday. And they said, yep. I want quadruple or quintuple shifts over the weekend, and I want it finished on Monday. And then on Monday, when it was finished, they went to court and said, Your Honor, the question is moot. The bridge is already built.
And you got to understand, anyone that doesn't know the Sawmill, we got to take a break in a second. Anyone that doesn't know the Sawmill, it's only 2 or 3 lanes wide,
Yeah.
so it wasn't a gigantic bridge, but
Right.
still. Listen, we got to take a break, and when we get back, we'll talk about more bridges to burn.
Okay.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DePiro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
Let's talk a little more about
I want to tell the
Robert
story
Moses.
about how Moses fell. Franklin Roosevelt, Herbert Lehman, Tom Dewey, all of the nationally prominent governors of New York tried to bring him down, and they all failed. When Nelson Rockefeller became governor, he said, I think I know how to do it.
money.
And the reason Moses had stayed alive and been in power is that whenever he built a bridge or a road or anything like that, he would have a covenant with the bondholders, an agreement, and they would agree not to stop the tolls until the bridge was paid off. Mm-hmm. And they would keep rolling it over and stopping it from being terminated. And we couldn't do anything about it because the bondholder covenant superseded state and local legislation. You couldn't interfere with it because it was a deal made in return for borrowing the money.
Because you'll never get bonds again if you...
So what Rockefeller did was he got a hold of his brother, David Rockefeller, who was head of Chase Manhattan Bank. And he said, I want your office to contact every single bondholder in the United States, wherever they live, and get their agreement to let us use the tolls for subways and buses. And they called everybody in the country, and they found hundreds and thousands of people who had lent money to the authorities.
No way.
And he got them all to sign releases. And then then he went back to his brother and said, "I've taken care of it, Nelson." And Nelson then set up the MTA, replacing the Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority. And the MTA consolidated the bus, subways, and everything under one roof, and removed Moses from being in charge of it.
Wow.
And that was done because his brother was able to get releases on all the bondholders.
Wow, that's unbelievable. You know, it's funny. We're talking about the sawmill in Rockefeller. 2 days ago, I was on the sawmill, and I was with Roxana. And I said, I'm going to show you where Rockefeller. And I went to Picantico. I can never say that right. And I went to 117 and showed her the Rockefeller estate. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
This whole area, north of New York City, Westchester to Connecticut, there's nowhere in the country that's like it at all. How long we got? Okay. There's nothing like it up here.
The tourists have begun mapping out a route for the Ayatollah, so that he,
we only have 1 minute left.
So he'll have a nice vacation. And the, speculation is that he's going to have to travel to Moscow to get out of Iran in time not to get killed.
Listen, if you listen in Ayatollah, call Joe Malillo at 914-329-7325. He's a real estate guy. He'll help you out.
Yeah, right.
Joe Malillo.
So it looks like, Tehran has provided Russia with a variety of weapons and even helped to construct the unmanned aerial system factory. But in 2025, Russia and Iran signed a 20-year partnership agreement, and Russia noted that the agreement includes an obligation to help the Shah escape if he needs to. So
nice.
That's where his travel plans are.
That's his travel plans. It's the way you put it. It's the way you say it, Dick Morris. It's the way you say it. All right, I think we're going to go to break. And when we come back, everyone have a quick lunch and then come right back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Dick Morris and Doug DePiro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. You know, there's no official way to keep tabs on how many people have moved out of California or moved out of New York.
But one of the easy ways is
U-Haul.
U-Haul.
U-Haul keeps tabs on how many rent their vehicles and where they take them.
Yeah, amazingly, California, which was once the top destination state to go to, had more moving vans relocating people out than any other state for the 6 years in a row. The state has lost 4 million people to net out migration since 2000. Illinois had the second greatest loss, while northeastern states, Jersey, New York, and Massachusetts rounded out the bottom five. The sixth greatest loss was Maryland, with the balance of the bottom 10, including Pennsylvania, Ohio, Connecticut, Michigan, Rhode Island. New York has lost 4 million net residents since 2000, according to the. I got to tell you, I don't mind this. I like this, just like with the congestion.
Yeah, but the problem is that they don't pay taxes on their way out.
I get it, but less people for me to bump into. I like people until they start breathing and then walking, and not so much. 3 of the top 4 states attracting movers had no personal income tax: Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. 9 out of the top 10 have a right to work law. Definitely Florida, which I love. All 10 of the bottom ranked states are forced union states. U-Haul notes that 9 of the top 10 destinations states voted Republican in 24 presidential election, while 7 of the bottom 10 states voted Democratic. So there you go. I don't mind this at all. I got to tell you, we'll figure out the money thing. But I like that I'm not going to bump into people as much.
So President Trump is taking action about interest rates on credit cards.
And I think Dick Morris could take a little credit for this too, but I'm not going to get there.
I spoke with the president about it during the campaign 2 or 3 times and last night as well.
And then when you called him the other day, he goes, well, hold on, Dick. Let me put this down and let me see what you're saying. And he dictated it. So I'm not going anyway. Go on. Dick had a lot to do with this. That's what I'm getting at.
Late last year, Americans hit another milestone. Total credit card debt reached $1.23 trillion. And the average household was in hock for $9,326.
Wow.
Increasingly, Americans facing an affordability crisis are using their plastic to pay for basics like food and housing. And the cost of such credit is skyrocketing, only making the affordability problem worse. As of August of last year, the Federal Reserve reported the average interest rate on credit card accounts was 22.8%.
That's a lot.
And some customers with low credit scores paid nearly 30%.
Wow.
In the 24 campaign, Trump announced that he would cap card rates at 10%. The move drew cheers from working class families and criticism from some banks.
I got to stop you for 1 second. I'm sorry, Dick. Cap it at 10% as of all the interest rates or from this day on? How does this work? At retro? He's going to go...
No, it wouldn't be retro. It would
not going retro. What's that again?
It's billed each quarter. So next quarter, the interest rate couldn't be more
like
than
if
10.
I was at 30 now, next quarter, that 30
10.
would come down. Oh, okay. That's what I need to know.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, most states have usury laws that prohibit high interest rates. But the credit card companies get around that because they're located in Delaware. And they say, hey, we're a Delaware corporation. Well, but you issue credit cards for all 50 states. And the courts have said that doesn't matter. You're headquartered in Delaware, and you have to abide by Delaware law.
Wow.
And the Delaware law permits any interest rate you want. There's no usury limit. So everybody in the United States pays for the generosity to the corporations of the Delaware law. So what Trump is doing now is really imposing the 10% cap all over the country. And no credit card will be able to charge more than 10%. And
is this temporary for?
Well, he's doing it for a year,
right?
But I think it'll last.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. I had him on the phone. We were talking about it, and he's writing his speech while we're on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "So today, as President of the United States, I order that blah blah blah."
Well, on the phone, he's telling you. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's great.
And then he said, "So do I suggest this or order it?" And his aide said, "Order it, sir. You're the president."
I got to tell the story. I'm the president. We were in Hay Adams in the meeting, and
that's a hotel in Washington.
Great hotel, right across the street's the White House. And this guy had a great idea for Africa and different thing, blah blah blah. So Dick goes, I got to call her. He calls the president. President picks up. Doesn't always pick up, but this time he picked up. Right? Hey, Dick, what's up? And hi, Mr. President. What this guy? He's got some great. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. You know, send us all that information to my guy. And Dick says, Mr. President, I'd really like you to meet this guy. It's really interesting. It's really important. He goes, I'm really busy, Dick. He goes, Mr. President, if you can give us 5 minutes, we're right across the street from you. 5 minutes tomorrow. Dick, I'm really busy. Just please, Mr. President, 5 minutes. You know, Dick, I am the President of the United States, and I'm very busy. 5 minutes tomorrow. I think I told this story a couple of times. But it's a good story to tell. The way he said it. You know, I'm President of the United States, like they're old friends, and he forgot that he's the President of the United States.
Now, Vanderbilt University did a study about the interest rates, and concluded that a 15% cap, a 10% cap, would save consumers $109 billion a year, and obviously make those funds available for increased spending. Trump is now ratcheting up the offensive on Greenland. He says that the United States needs Greenland.
Wait, Dick, aren't we going to call up Joe Malillo to get some...
Yeah, I'd get some property there.
Property there? Because he's going to give everyone $100,000?
Well, one of the ideas is to give everybody in Greenland $100,000.
So we'll be doing our show.
To sell the island to the United States.
So we're going to be doing our show from Greenland because we're going to be residents there so we could pocket 100.
Right. Well, don't we want to be residents in Mexico to take advantage of the freebies if we cross the border?
Yeah, we cross the border. Yeah. We get free stuff.
$3,000 can fly back.
Can we do both?
I think you got to find out.
A dual citizenship.
Yeah. Trump makes the case that with the Chinese and Russian fleets being all over the place in the area of southern Greenland, Denmark does not have the ability to defend that territory. And with Russian expansionism, you got to be careful about that. And he says that the United States should have an agreement with Greenland to defend it. And Greenland said, well, you have NATO. And the issue now is, will Trump be able to pressure Greenland to give more role to the U.S.? The University of Portsmouth said Trump thinks the threats are Trump playing hardball. His entire negotiation process consists of coercion and threats, and it's worked in the past. It would not surprise me to see the entire affair result in preferred access for the U.S. to Greenland's natural resources, notably its rare earth minerals. He's right to identify the Arctic region as a zone of competition, and will increasingly become so as climate change has an impact over the next decade or two. Whatever his endgame, Trump seems to think that now is a good time to push Europe around. Europeans are weak and vulnerable and dependent on America for their own security. We see that in Ukraine. We see it against Russia through NATO. So that is the calculation I imagine the administration is making.
Yeah, but this guy says Europeans are weak and vulnerable. Yeah, you are. But he's not going to push you around. He's going to tell you, listen, we got to do this. I'm sorry. You want me to help you if somebody attacks you? I'm going to help you. So I'm not pushing you around. I'm telling you this is what I'm going to do. Yep. You know what I mean? Don't tell your security guy. Even Trump, I was with him quite a few times. And he said to me, he goes, Dougie, I can't tell these guys. I have to do what they say. I can't go to the spot, or we can't have this situation over there tomorrow because the Secret Service told me. And I said, he's the president of the United States, and he listens. That's the difference between like him or Hillary, where she didn't care about.
Well,
and he really respected
Hillary would
them.
yell at the Secret Service.
But he's really respected these guys. He goes, Sean told me that I should do this, and that's what I'm doing. Just like he said to us a couple times with Rubio. Now, he's the president of the United States, and we needed Rubio to do whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the president says, I'm not stepping on Rubio's toes. If he agrees, I'll do it. If not, that's okay. I'm not going to get into what we're talking about. I mean, he really, that's where he went. He could have easily said, all right, I'll do it. He said, I'll ask for it. And I kind of respect
tell the story about ICE and the Hilton Hotel.
Oh my God. The Hilton branded hotel chain properly in Minneapolis, property in Minneapolis allegedly sent an email announcing that reservations for immigration and customs enforcement and other departments of Homeland Security officials would be canceled. Their reservations will be canceled. The ICE guys. The email appears to be from the Hampton Inn by Hilton in Lakeville, Minnesota. It informed the recipients that reservations for those involved with immigration enforcement would not be honored. We have noticed an influx of government reservations made today that have been for DHS, and we are not allowing any ICE immigration agents to stay in our property. If you are with these people, let us know, and they're going to let us know, and we will have to cancel your reservation. An email from the Hampton Inn from.
You didn't give us credit on the mileage.
You know what I was, you know what I was going to say? We should book every single room for like an ice cream conference.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Book every room and then go there and say, oh, by the way, we don't want it. We're going to cancel it. That's what we should
and
do.
We're ice cream.
Yeah, I know, but you got to say, right. Come on, that was the joke about it. So please pass this information on to coworkers that we're not allowing any immigration agents to stay at our property. The management and a follow-up email informed the recipients. After further investigation online, we have found information about immigration work connected with your name, and we will be canceling your upcoming reservation. You should see a proper cancellation. But the next story is good too. You got the next story? Day. The next day, Hilton Hotels swiftly terminated its franchise agreement with an independently owned Hampton Inn in Minnesota after a video surfaced showing the hotel continuing to refuse rooms to the DHS and ICE agents. This despite assurances that the chain is a welcoming place for all. But I got to give it. I was when that first story, I said, you know what, I'm going to go on. I'm never going there again. We shouldn't. They were smart. The Hilton Hotels terminated those guys, that franchise. I wonder how that happens. Basically, you got to get out. The owners say, okay, we don't have the franchise anymore. Kind of like
that's right.
If you lease a car, they take the car back type of thing.
No, the kind of thing where the Hilton Hotel, the Hampton Inn, is on contract with Hilton International.
Of course, right.
And Hilton International said, we can't let you continue to rent rooms to ICE agents. And the Hilton Hotel...
The corporation said bye-bye.
Said, we'll cut off the franchise.
And they did.
Yeah.
They basically did.
You got to rent to ICE agents. There are 2,000 more ICE agents going to Minnesota.
But not staying at the Hilton?
Well, they probably are.
Now they
are. But the idea here is that you're really looking at a war, a civil war, between a state and the federal government, where the aid to the state is being curtailed, funding for food programs in the state is no longer being honored, and there's and of course we have the issues with ICE. And it's very interesting, and I think that the rebellion of a state against the federal government is really what you're looking at. The issues that I thought were adjudicated in 1865. Trump gave a speech, and he warned that he'll be impeached if the Democrats win the midterms. Trump got impeached twice in this last term, and the worry is that he will be impeached again if the Democrats get control of the House. He said on Tuesday that Republicans must win the 2026 election midterms or else get impeached by the Democrats. You got to win the midterms, because if you don't win the midterms, I'm going to be impeached. They'll find a reason to impeach me, Trump told Republican lawmakers.
They already found 20 reasons. They just don't have the power yet.
Ahead of the November elections, which could stall his agenda and expose him to congressional investigations, Trump teased and prodded allies who narrowly contest the House of Representatives. He told them to put aside their differences and sell his policies on gender, health care, and election integrity. He made only brief mention of the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. It's been interesting. I think you've been following on this show how gradually that attack is becoming seen as a total fraud.
Totally.
And set up by the government, with hundreds of government agents in the crowd, egging people on, and ultimately resulting in one death.
What do we know about lawsuits against the government because all the people that were in prison for 3 years? How long was it?
I'm sure there'll be a lot. We don't have a story on that.
They're not already moving. They must be.
They might
Absolutely. And I don't see losing the midterm. I'm sorry. I see the economy booming. If we could get away, I said it earlier, the Dems, first of all, they're the best marketing campaign people in the world, the Democrats. They know how to market. They know how to focus and get their useful idiots to believe them. They're going to stick with these ICE agents going into town, and it's too bad. Hopefully the economy is doing so well that they're not going to have to stand on, That's what I believe. And what do you think about that?
I think you may be right. The economy, frankly, has never done as well as it is now. So there's no precedent where we can look back and say, what's the growth rate you need to keep Congress during a midterm election? But it looks like we're at it, and it looks like we can do that. We're just in the middle of getting the stats back, and then it'll be a little while before it registers with public opinion. Yeah. But I think we will. I think the Democrats began by talking about income inequality. Then they went to affordability.
Right. Now they're going to go
and now they're going to go back to violence.
Yeah. They're basically bumper sticker people, like I have always said. Water cooler. They stand around a water cooler and they all want to.
And you don't have to get a new car to get a new bumper sticker.
Right. Anyway, we have to take a break, and we come back. We'll talk about more good stuff.
Yeah, when we come back, we can talk about one of the most exciting developments in the history of man. We are now nearing the point where we can produce power through fusion, not fission, of atomic energy.
When we get back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DePiro Show, sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group. Those crime stats for New York and for other cities are very encouraging, but we have to bear in mind that the real reason that this is happening is not because of increased policing in New York or Philadelphia or new tactics. It's because there are 2.1 million fewer illegal immigrants in the United States, and that's having an effect on crime rates throughout the country. So you have all these local mayors and congressmen claiming credit for it, saying, oh, look, I've reduced crime. In fact, the crime reductions are all because of the reductions in population of illegal immigrants because of what Trump is doing.
Well, the blue states are never going to give Trump any credit.
Yeah, but the people have to, because the drop in crime is real and occurring.
Somehow, and I don't know how to do this. I talked to you about this yesterday. To get the message to the independent voters, the swing voters, about this. That's it. We do that, we're going to win the midterms.
Yeah, but the crime issue is not something you do through statistics. It's something you do through personal experience.
Sure.
And as it becomes very clear to people that they're not in danger, that the days of getting mugged are dropping.
Yeah, but here's my point. It doesn't matter. That does not matter to the liberals, to the base. The base, they don't care. They're going to say Trump's a Nazi, he's going to start a war, whatever. And they believe it. Somehow common sense, how do you teach somebody common sense? You don't, right? That's really what it is. And I don't know how to go about getting a message to the people that we need in the midterms.
Now, this is the most exciting story, I think, not just of the week, but of the year. There are two ways that nuclear power gives rise to electricity. Mm-hmm. Fission and fusion. Fission is the way the atomic bomb works. You split atoms, the electrons split other atoms, the other atoms split other atoms, and a chain reaction takes place.
That's right.
And you have an explosion. Mm-hmm. And the way you make a nuclear power plant, instead of an explosion, is you insert control rods that absorb the electrons and release them at a steady flow that does not cause a bomb, but causes energy.
And radiation.
But it still is the basic process of fission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sun and the solar system don't work on fission. They work on fusion. Therefore, the philosophy and the technology behind it is that you heat up hydrogen atoms to an incredible level, an unbelievably high level. And then they fuse with one another, and two hydrogens create a helium. And the sun is not destroying energy, it's creating energy as more and more hydrogen atoms become helium atoms. So the issue has always been, how do we do that? We would have no radiation, we would have no waste, we would have no pollution, we'd have no climate change, we'd have no limit on our resources, and oil would no longer be a crucial thing. Well, the Trump Media and Technology Group Corporation and TAE Technologies have announced today that the site selection process for the first fusion power plant in history is underway, and that following receipt of the required approvals and the closing of their previously announced merger, the combined company is anticipated to begin construction of its first fusion power plant in 2026. The reason we can do that is that research by the Trump Corporation and by TAE Technologies, which is an allied company, has reduced the amount of work you have to do to bring a power plant to a point where you can get it hot enough for fusion. And the paperwork, the time, the technology involved is way, way down because of these new discoveries. And taking advantage of it, the Trump operation is moving in to try to actually fill that void. The head of Trump, Devin Nunes, the former congressman, said the Trump TMTG, Trump Media and Technology Group, is actively holding discussions with multiple states and entities about potential sites as we look forward to completing this merger. These are the initial steps to spark a renaissance in American energy, to secure safe, clean, abundant, and affordable fusion power that will lower America's electric bills and guarantee America's predominant position in the AI, artificial intelligence revolution. The CEO of TAE and its director, Dr. Mikhail Binderbauer, what a name, said 5 successive fusion machines have established the core physics, including the ability to stabilize plasma performance with real-time active feedback control. By plasma performance, they mean the ether in which everything is contained, and they call it plasma. And here, with real-time feedback based on what's happening with the plasma, they're able to achieve the temperatures necessary for fusion.
Yeah, he said, this is fusion's moment. Surge in power demands and fusion strong safety profile provide significant tailwinds facilitating further deployment of our technology. Pretty interesting.
This is absolutely incredible. He said that the conservative numbers should be a little flexible about their incidence to include, and the amazing thing about this is that it really solves the world's energy problem. And it does so without endangering us and without any potential fall off, and with no radiation, with no radioactive waste. Just incredible.
Incredible.
Now, I want to provide a little perspective on what's happened after Venezuela, after the raid. You know how in pool you use ricochet.
Say again?
In pool.
Oh, yeah.
You use ricochet
bank shots, yeah.
So the U.S. has completed a bank shot here by taking over Venezuela's oil. Prior to the capture of Maduro, Cuba's economy depended on 100,000 barrels per day of Venezuelan oil. Now it's gone. And the U.S. and China needed it too. And China needed Venezuelan oil and imported a vast amount of it. But now both China, which now is shopping for new energy outlets, and of course, Cuba, are going to be in serious shape because of a lack of oil. China can make up for it, but Cuba can't. And there's a real question as to whether Cuba is going to have to overthrow the regime it has, the post-communist regime.
You mean the people, or?
The people overthrow it, yeah. So,
are they in the streets yet? They're not, right?
They're not allowed yet.
Yeah, right. How would that happen? Like, they have the small grassroots type of thing?
Yeah, well,
how do you do that?
What would happen is there'd be no light, there'd be no power. 50% of Cuba's energy comes from imported oil from Venezuela. You cut that off, the lights don't go on.
So the people get beat down so low that they want to fight back.
Right.
It takes a real...
The air conditioning doesn't work. Heating doesn't work. Lights don't go on. And already Cuba's experiencing some very significant outages in electricity. It's causing real popular discontent. But here you're looking at not just an outage, an absolute termination.
Of fuel.
And the U.S. will control that. And Rubio's made clear that he will control the flow of energy to Venezuela by seizing their oil and selling it. And this probably means death and end to the Cuban regime. So Trump has not only changed Venezuela and is in the process of changing Iran,
but Cuba's
he's also going to change Cuba. and it's incredible to watch. God bless Donald Trump.
What are you talking about? China? Right here, Dick?
Yeah.
16?
Well, yeah, what I said, the amount of oil that China imports from Venezuela.
And then we got the communist mayor, the nightmare.
Yeah.
Mandami, you want to go on that?
Mandami appointed a director of development of housing for New York City. And
communist Muslim New York nightmare Zoltan Mankami, I got a name for everything, appointed a tenant advocate who wants to seize private property, which she sees as a symptom of white supremacy. And what is he? What is color is Mandami? Urine? What the hell color is he? White. They got black and white and brown. But he's urine. Anyway, I get mad at this white supremacy. I missed that boat when it was on its way to get the ticket for the white supremacy thing. I don't know what happened. Or I dropped it in the water.
Come on.
Anyway. Weaver is her name, and over the years she has made no secret of her anti-freedom and overly racist views. Will transition from treating property as an individual good to a collective good. She promises whites especially will be impacted. It gets worse. Weaver, who is officially Mandami's director of city office to protect tenants, called to seize private property back in 2018. The following year, she was said private property, including any kind of especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy. She has since deleted that X account where these fascist and racist comments were made, but the internet is forever. Regardless, unless she publicly backs off these comments, deleting them can only mean that she has not changed her view, but is looking to hide her true beliefs. In 2017, Weaver wrote on X, elect more communists, and in Mandami, she has her man. After being sworn in as mayor, Nightmare, Mandami quickly laid the groundwork to seize private property. It's unbelievable. You want me to go on and on? No, that's enough.
No, that's enough about
that's
that.
More than enough.
And so he's going to solve homelessness. He's going to solve it by stopping the construction of new units.
Right. And getting all the guys that own all the buildings that keep them running.
Not to have enough oil
to do it, right?
To do it.
Not to have enough oil and money to do it, right?
Right.
So what are they going to do?
So it's like he made a plan to make all the streets one way uptown, and it becomes Westchester's problem after a while.
That's a good analogy.
Right.
All the streets go one way north. That's it.
It's Westchester's problem.
Yeah. Westchester. Westchester's beautiful. Where are we going, Dick? Let's take a call. What do you say? How about Sandra? Sandra's always waiting for us. Hi, Sandra.
Hi there. You covered everything today. There's nothing left to talk about. But but I want to say about Donald Trump and what's going on in Venezuela and Iran. He is getting they're like beehives. He's shaking those beehives, and he's getting to the bottom of the problem. So I say to myself, oh my God, look at what's happening in Venezuela. There's chaos over there, and there's problems over there, and Donald Trump is warning Americans, leave right away. The risk is very high. Risk number 4, if you don't leave, you might get detained over there. You might get tortured in detention.
But Maduro doesn't listen to the radio, so he stayed.
So what I'm trying to say here is, it's scary stuff, what we're witnessing. So I say to myself, is it worth it? But the answer is yes. Could I tell you why?
Yes.
First of all, I have a friend named Jeanette. She was born in Venezuela and lived there during communist times. She lives here now, and I'll never forget the day that Mandora was taken to the courthouse. She called me happily crying on her way to the courthouse because she knows how he treated the people in Venezuela because she was there and she lived through it. So that's the first reason I'm happy that this happened. And the second reason, I lost many, many friends over drugs, and it's all because of that stupid man. So that's my answer. Yes, it's chaotic, It's frightening to hear you better get out of that country right away because you may not be safe. And Iran, what's going on over there. But look, he's shaking the beehives. But eventually it's going to all get better. So no pain, no gain is what I'm trying to say.
And Iran is the center of terrorism in the world. And all of the terror proxies, all of the Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis and
that's like the hub. You're saying that's the hub.
Yeah. And it's paying for it, it's subsidizing it. And if you put Iran out of business, you're putting terrorism out of business.
That's great.
Because
worth it. It's worth it.
It sure is. And not just terrorism. There's the risk of nuclear war and proliferation and so on. And that all now is absolutely within range of being knocked out by Trump.
Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Dick,
thank you both.
The other thing, Trump's first term, Iran was broke. And then Biden came back and boom, they got their money back. I mean,
because Biden permitted them to sell their oil. And then Trump cracked down.
Biden cracked down on our oil here. Yes. Right.
But now Iran can't sell its oil.
Right.
And increasingly they can't drill for oil because their country is in total chaos. It literally is running out of water. They are literally at a point of rationing water in Tehran.
Yeah, Trump doesn't have to choke them. They're going to choke themselves.
Somebody told me that they can't use water cannon to stop the demonstrations because they don't have any water.
You ain't right. Okay, we're going to take a break. More jokes when we come back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Happy Dick Morris Show, Dick.
And the Doug DePiro Show, and sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
And we're watching our good friend John McLaughlin on the TV. That's great. Anyway, Trump, California, you're next. This is great. Trump tells California, you're next. President Trump is serious about cracking down on fraud. After the Trump administration began a full-scale investigation into Minnesota Somali fraud scandal, Trump disclosed that he fears other Democrat-run states may be corrupted by similar fraud schemes. We got to get this out. This is the type of thing. We are getting it out, but we got to get it out to some of the swing people. On Tuesday, he announced that California is the federal government's next target. California under Gavin Newsom. Oh, you wrote Newsom in the thing.
I
That's
didn't.
Great.
Yeah.
I say it anyway, but it's written. Under Gavin Newsom is more corrupt than Minnesota, if that's possible. The fraud investigation of California has begun. Thank you for your attention in this matter, Trump said. Yeah. It's true, though. This guy.
And that's going to be the new dynamic of American politics. The Republicans will talk about how these state governments are operations that are based on fraud, based on stealing taxpayer money, illegal immigration combined with lax enforcement of laws and bureaucratic obstinance is creating a massive theft of American resources in these states. And the Democrats are going to say, well, the cutting off these funds and is causing violence, and Trump is promoting violence.
Yeah, right.
But the violence is all in support of ridding the country of illegal immigrants. And when you look at
and their violence on their side, that protesters, is the cause of we want free stuff, and he wanted to keep stealing money from you and whatnot.
Right.
I look at this thing, and I don't want to get into the woman getting shot by ICE, so I don't want to get into this too much, right? But I look at this that you got, and I don't know, Soros or the rich guys that put this together. Then you got the media that says, Trump's a Nazi and you got to get him and you got to go after him. And you got Walsh that said his stuff, with Trump, he's a Nazi, whatever he said, right? Then you get these people that go out, and those are the useful idiots for the people with money,
they're
for the politicians.
Also paid agitators.
And they're paid also. So then you get these people that go out, they don't even know what they're doing. They just know they hate Trump and go, and then they get killed. So I don't know where to go with this, but you know what? I wouldn't do it. I would, if you guys want to go out and don't want anybody over, just say what you got to say, put your sign up, your beautiful store-bought sign, and shut up. The guy says to walk away. What are you, stupid?
Now, the Department of Justice opened a new front by warning Mamdani over anti-white bias.
So basically, Department of Justice civil rights official has warned New York City Nightmare Mamdani administration about
discriminating against white people.
Right, discriminating against white people.
And this is the wonderful woman who I've supported over the years.
You did? You have?
Yeah.
Right. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon issued the warning after Mamdani appointed far-left activist Sia Weaver as the city's new tenant advocate, a move that has reignited concerns that the new administration housing agenda is driven more by ideology than equal protection under the law. Dillon put City Hall on notice after the resurfacing of an old video in which Weaver argued that America must move away from treating property as an individual right and instead shift towards viewing property as a collective good, embracing shared equity. In the clip, Weaver said this transition would require families, especially white families, to have a different relationship to property than the one they currently have. I don't understand what that means, but we're
no private ownership.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I get it. I don't understand where
you own as much as a sidewalk.
I really rhetorically, where she come? What does that mean? What are you trying to say, honey? I know what she's saying. That rhetoric set off alarms across social media and among legal watchdogs who say such language can signal discriminatory intent in policy making. Racist bitch. Dillon responded directly on X, stressing that discrimination based on race is illegal, regardless of who is targeted. New York, consider this in your official notice from the Justice Department, Dillon wrote, adding, we will not tolerate discrimination based on skin color. It is illegal. She has also noted Civil Rights Division is paying very close attention. Dillon amplified the warning during her interview on OAN's Fine Point with Chanel Rion, I don't know if I'm saying that right, arguing that equal rights apply to all Americans and that the DOJ will intervene if New York City violates federal civil rights laws, the Washington Examiner reported. Just because you're white doesn't mean you have fewer rights in this country, she said, adding the administration is on high scrutiny.
Yeah. The background here is that the woman we're talking about, Dillon, what's her name?
Her last name is Dillon.
Yeah.
Her last name is Dillon.
Yeah. She ran for head of for being chairman of the Republican Party.
Harmeet Dillon.
Yeah.
Harmeet. What kind of name is
she
that?
She ran to become chairman of the Republican Party and was defeated, although she backed Trump. And then they turned out and appointed her as the Deputy Attorney General in charge of civil rights, the division that had terrorized the South under Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And she has that job now, and she's turning her focus on anti-white discrimination.
Good.
So the whole panoply of federal rules and laws against discrimination and focusing on that are now going to be used to stop whites from being discriminated against. Incredible change.
Incredible. Dallas mayor predicts flood of new business. Leave New York. Where's Joe Malillo? You keep bringing up Joe Malillo. He's the real estate guy. What was already a trickle is going to turn into a flood of individuals and companies who have called New York home for a long time, moving to Dallas, he told the New York Post. They're talking about trying to find new ways to tax people compared to one where we're trying to push down the one tax we've got and we don't have an income tax. He calls his city the nation's premier, sanctuary city from socialism. This is the guy in Texas, right? He calls his city the nation's premier. He told us at the hotline he can envision the day when people say, do you remember back when New York was the financial capital of the United States? Isn't that weird? Horrible but true, right? It's horrible but true.
Is.
Really, what they don't even care. They see this happening. Remember when I said to you about borders? I said, don't people, when it was the Biden administration, aren't they worried? Don't they care about people coming through the border and coming in and doing what they're doing? Don't they care about it? And we talked about, they're looking at a one world thing, no borders, Yeah,
they're also looking at winning elections.
But that's what I want to know.
Increasingly, it's not just about winning elections. It's about stealing the money before you get the power.
No, but if you're going to destroy Manhattan, this is what we're talking about, really. They're going to go to Texas or Florida, right? Aren't any of the leaders saying, wait a minute, wait. If we do this, everyone's going to leave. The financial institution's going to go to Dallas. They don't care. They just want to be elected. They want to have their little house in the Gracie Mansion type of thing.
Well, yeah, they get money from the fraud in New York, just like they do in Minnesota. And they want to keep that fraud going.
Yeah,
and
but with the new
going, they need illegal immigrants to vote.
Right.
They need the cops not to go after them. And they need the entire system to work in their favor.
Yeah, but the new sheriff that's in town, Trumpy Bear, he's coming after them. They're not going to get away with it. They got to know after Minnesota now that the DOJ is looking at everybody. You know what I mean? I don't see how they think they can get away with anything.
Minnesota and now California.
Yeah. And then New York.
Yeah.
I really believe, I've said this a couple times now, I'm repeating myself, that Trump is going to let everything just slide in New York for at least 8 months. At least till the end of the year, he's going to let this guy destroy New York. And he's going to save it. He will save it just like he built it. But I think he's going to let it go down a little bit. I think he's going to just turn the cheek for now until people get a little sick of this Mandami guy.
Well, you're a real estate guy.
Joe Malillo?
Joe Malillo. Explain who he is.
Joe Malillo. I got to find it. I lost my my notes on him. His phone number. Joe Malillo is a real estate guy in Connecticut and New York and Westchester, and he's basically, I'm looking for his number out, so I'm talking.
Okay.
He's basically, with what's going on, he's going to make a lot of money. Hey, Joe, I want to be your partner. That's what I'd like to be. He's a really good guy, and I can't find his number because I've been moving paperwork around. I got it. It's 914-329-7325. Were you going to sell lifeboats?
Yeah, I'm going to sell lifeboats on the Titanic. Through him. And the whole idea is that you're going to need a real estate agent.
Because we're going to drown in New York City.
Yeah. And if you got to move out of New York and you got to move to Connecticut, you got to have a real estate agent to help you do it.
That's unbelievable.
And that's what Joe Malillo is.
And Florida, I think he's New York, Connecticut, and maybe Florida. He's a good guy, too. 914-329-7325. And tell Joe Dougie sent you. What do we next, Dick? We got this Republican governors.
No,
we got to take a break. All right, when we get back.
The Dick Morris Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Dick Morris Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Dick Morris and Doug DePiro Show. Sponsored by the Patriot Gold Group.
You know what I wanted to ask you, Dick? Just to touch on this, the Latin Americans support Maduro's capture.
Yeah.
Just because all the people that are going out there, it's basically, you're talking about white liberals.
Yeah.
Going back to white, I hate that, right? But it's true. It's the white guilt people and the liberals. It was horrible. But so many Latin Americans supporters.
I think that this is a big factor in the midterm elections.
Yeah.
I think that you have to realize that Trump is prioritizing Latin America for once. He's giving freedom in Latin America a chance to breathe and a chance to get U.S. support.
He's making us safe, our national security, because he's worried about China in Latin America. Go on.
And it's about time we had a president that gave some priority to the Western Hemisphere.
That's got the guts to do this type of thing.
And can do this thing.
But basically, Latin American people, so many of my friends, around here that love it. And I go, are you mad at The president, no way, my family, and they're talking about all this great stuff. So they're happy. It's basically, the Connecticut white guilt people.
Yeah, but, and I think that politically, it's going to be a big winner for the United States and for Trump politically.
Without a doubt.
Now, over the last couple of years, during the Biden years, great to talk about that in the past tense.
That was the greatest thing to happen because of what, the contrast between Biden and Trump.
The left decided that it was not enough to try to get a hold of taxpayer money and not enough to try to steal government funding. But what they needed to do was to persuade companies that invest money, that are investment advisors, to prioritize left-wing causes over returns on investment. To say it's more important that you make an investment in something that's environmentally positive, and it doesn't matter if you accept a lower return on the investment. And the governors backing these measures argue that taxpayer-backed retirement systems should prioritize fiduciary duty and returns, not political or social agendas that can disadvantage core American industries such as energy and agriculture. This is about protecting retirees, one governor said. Public pensions exist to secure workers' futures, not to bankroll activist causes.
Right.
Early anti-ESG efforts focused on disclosure requirements and voluntary guidelines. The latest wave goes further, codifying restrictions that bar state pension managers from considering ESG scoring systems when selecting asset managers or allocating capital. Several states are also reviewing existing contracts with financial firms to determine whether ESG-based investment practices violate state law or fiduciary standards. Supporters say that this approach restores traditional market discipline by forcing investment decisions based on risk, performance, and value rather than ideological pressure campaigns. Energy producers and agricultural businesses have been among the most vocal supporters of the pushback. Industry leaders argue that ESG frameworks have been used to restrict access to capital, raise borrowing costs, and discourage investment in fossil fuels, livestock operations, and fertilizer production. Critics of ESG say the result is a distorted market, one that punishes U.S. producers while allowing foreign competitors with weaker environmental and labor standards to gain ground. This isn't environmental policy passed by regulators. It's a regulation by financial proxy. Wall Street activism under scrutiny. The collective governors' actions also reflect mounting skepticism toward what conservatives describe as Wall Street activism, where large financial institutions use their market influence to advance social or political goals without voter consent. By restricting ESG criteria in public pensions, states are sending a signal that taxpayer dollars will not be used to enforce ideological compliance across the private sectors. Policy groups aligned with the Republican Governors Association say the trend is likely to accelerate in 26 as more states reassess how ESG policy affects returns and economic growth. So it's not enough to take tax money. It's not enough to take public money and allocate it. And it's not enough to regulate the private sector. What they're also trying to do is to regulate investment in pension funds so that the money goes to their social causes long after the day has passed.
We're going to go in a second, but I want to we have to at least talk about for 30 seconds the takeover of Greenland. I love that idea. But we only have 30 seconds, so whatever you can get out there.
No, we don't.
Oh, we got a little more? Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I believe that this at the moment is probably overreach by Trump.
I don't think so.
But, don't look at the process. Look at the end product. Once this is over, he's not going to take over Greenland.
No.
But he is going to get a better deal. He's going to get a defense agreement
That's what he needs.
He's going to get the ability to station troops there.
That's what he needs.
And he's going to use that effectively to protect Greenland. And he's going to get preferential deals for U.S. investment and for critical mineral mining. These are all his real objectives, and he's in the process of achieving them. But, they say you shouldn't watch sausage being made.
Yeah, right.
Don't watch Donald Trump negotiate.
That's right. It's an honor to be here with you, Mr. Morris. Thank you. Mr. Morris. I'm never doing that again.
Dick, yeah.
Thank you, Dick. Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to The Dick Morris Show. You can hear The Dick Morris Show Sundays at noon. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Demo, not for broadcast. Property of WABC New York.
If you're thinking about changing schools, why wait? At Manhattan University, love those guys. You don't have to start over. With transfer-friendly pathways, your credits count, and you keep moving forward. From day one, you're part of Jasper Nation, preparing for the real world. And with New York City just a train away, opportunity is everywhere. Ready to move forward without missing a step? Visit manhattan.edu/transfer and enroll today. Manhattan University. Don't start over. Move forward.